Hello and welcome to another Moaning Show, filmed in magnificent Monavision, and you're watching episode number 64, where I'd like to talk to you about the property ladder. Now, I make no bones about it. The property ladder is something that we'd all like to be on. Basically, the property ladder is a non-physical entity, which basically means that you own property. Now, I don't mean property like a laptop or the belts or the posters or the headphones behind me. The property that I'm talking of is obviously property that you live in. House, flat, bungalow, mansion, that sort of thing. Now, what I'm going to be complaining about is the mere fact that a tremendous amount of people, quite frankly, won't get on the property ladder. It's something that is beyond them, and it is certainly beyond me, specifically at the moment. Not just because of the year I've had, but because of the circumstances I find myself in, and have been in, for the best part of 2 decades. But the property ladder is a goal of every, individual out there. You want something to, you want a bit of security, so to speak. It's something that you want to pass on to your children / other family members, should you not have any. I myself am 35 years of age, and at present, and for the foreseeable future, I don't mean a month or two, I mean years in the future, I don't stand a chance of getting property. This is for a number of reasons, but I will just say for now that I just really don't stand a chance of owning my own home. There's literally no chance, and I'll explain more as the video goes on. I still live with my father, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. It's been the case all my life. Obviously, I've not moved out, and I find myself in a strange situation right now where moving out doesn't benefit myself or my father. It's a mutually beneficial way of living, so to speak. Why do I still live with my dad is the first question this week on the Moaning Show, and I've just basically answered it right there. It is mutually beneficial. When I'm working full-time hours at work, our combined wage is sufficient enough to, pay the bills, pay the rent, pay, living costs and all that sort of stuff, which is another topic for a future Moaning Show, so keep your eyes out open for that one. But that's basically why I still live with Dad. And, if either one of us, something really bad happened to either one of us, it did this year, more on that in a future show, but it's not worth either one of us not being able to, if you see what I mean. So if the unthinkable happens and either one of us dies, the other one is technically in the shit. So that's basically why I still live with my dad. Will a better paid job help? Of course. It's a question that a better paid job is, quite frankly, a no-brainer. It's always going to be better for whatever situation you find yourself in. You can get more of what you want, more of what you need, and quite frankly, it's all to do with certain wages, things like that. But it's not a complaint about wages in general for any job. Basically, even having a wage over £25,000 a year, you're still going to struggle to find the appropriate funds to have a mortgage on a home. I live in a housing association property that has one of the lowest rents in the area, if not the lowest rent in the area. I'm not going to divulge how much it is, but it's considerably less than what I've seen for other rental properties, because you always see people walking around looking at like housing letting agents and things like that, and you look at what you could get, or you look at what does take your fancy, and quite frankly, it's just a dream, isn't it? You see people just having a look at the windows outside, like property, shops and things like that, and you think, if only. And it's definitely true. Why worry about something like this is my third question this week, and to be brutally honest, it's not something that I'm completely and totally annoyed about. And I see what you're thinking already. As I record this, it's like, well, why comment on it? Why moan about something that is basically beyond your capabilities or control? I'll tell you why I'm slightly pissed off about this. The mere fact that the average person works for an average wage, and if you get an average wage or less than an average wage, you've got no fucking chance of owning your own property, passing it down to your children or other family members, blah 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 bollocks. Okay, now I will say this as well. Obviously, I am single. Okay, I have been all my life, let's just say. But what I will also say is that if you do have a partner, you have a better chance of finding property, because that is what you want to do. You meet someone, you find someone to settle down with, you get married, you have kids, you do all that sort of stuff that most people take for granted. And what I will say there is you stand a much better chance of owning property, because there are two wages or a wage and a half coming in, and basically it's that sort of thing, and hopefully they're enough to enable you to get a mortgage on a home. Why not just rent for the rest of your life is my final question this week. It's probably what I will end up doing, is renting, but there are dangers to renting. Not through a housing association. My father and I are relatively safe in that area, and I can understand this isn't a typical moaning show. It's not, and I apologise for that. If you're not happy with a non-typical moaning show, then my answer to you, the viewers, is get some more people watching, because a slight moan off, slightly off tangent, so to speak. I got 12 views from my video last week, and I'm buggered if I'm going to put 100% effort into a video like this one, which is a subject that I did want to talk about, but it's been brought up to replace the one that I was thinking about doing. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But the renting for the rest of my life, there are dangers for renting, specifically on private rentals. If you rent from a private landlord, or if you rent from someone who's bought a house and is just renting out, you run the risk and you have the danger of that property being sold and you can't do anything about it. You're paying your rent fine, you're paying your bills fine, the upkeep of the property is, if it's in your hands, you're doing that and you're all sorting it out, and it's like, okay. And then all of a sudden, the landlord wants to sell and make £200,000 or plus or whatever. You're fucked. you are completely fucked. So if you don't own your own house and you're renting off of a friend or a landlord or whatever, and they decide to sell, you're practically homeless. And that is the danger of renting all your life. It may be cheaper, yes, but like I say, you run the risk of being completely and totally fucked. A housing association, probably not as big of a risk. But again, people who are single, people who are under, say, 25,000 pounds a year, you don't stand a fucking chance. And I'm in that bracket, unfortunately, even to my so-called advancing years. A 35-year-old single person, not just a male, a woman as well, has literally no chance. You know, they have these government schemes like this house, cheap house schemes, and it's a load of bullshit. It's a cheap house would be, I don't know, £50,000 or something like that, and there's no way houses are being sold for that, even in the cheapest areas of the country. Basically, from what I understand, is up north, and you see these programs like Homes Under the Hammer, where they show, flats or buildings or houses being done up by these people called property developers, and they're all, making it all like shiny and new, and they, they have money to begin with. That's the first thing, okay? And I fucking hate Homes Under the Hammer because every single fucker on that show, yeah, and here's the swearing part, um, every single fucking asshole on that show will always, and I mean always, have more money than the people watching it, or the vast majority of people watching it. The people watching Homes Under the Hammer are people that are either sick, they're unemployed, or they work rotas like myself, and they won't have that sort of money any time in their fucking lives. These houses or these properties go for a minimum of £80,000. Now, I've not had £8,000 in my bank account at one time in my life. The thought of having 80, maybe £200,000 in my bank account is practically, it's beyond me. Um, Again, that's not a complaint about the wages that I receive. It's the complaint about the overall wage that the vast majority of people receive. There's no way they can compete in an auction. Like, say, like if for some reason they've been left like £20,000 in a will or something like that, you think, oh, I might be able to get a very, very cheap property up north somewhere. And you think, and then some arsehole with like 200 to £300,000 spare cash, like these property developers are, they come in and they win the auction like that, and you think, fucking point is turning up there. So you can't even put a deposit down, because your wages don't match the criteria for these mortgage companies. You can't get a one-bedroom flat in Newcastle, for instance. This is just an example, of course. You can't get a one-bedroom flat in Newcastle with fucking narrow, and the rooms are like fucking narrow as shit. You can't get that for anything less than £50,000. And you think, well, I'm never going to be able to afford to pay that off, so renting is your only option. So it all comes down to a number of things. Are you single? Do you earn enough? Are you ever going to earn enough to pay off a mortgage? If your answer to all three of those is no, like myself currently, I don't know what's around the corner. We never do, and that's another issue. We never know how badly our lives are going to go. For instance, if I was living by myself this year and I've had the year that I've had, I would be next to bankrupt because I would have no money whatsoever. But again, I apologise for the type of moaning show this one is, but my thoughts about the property ladder are exactly that. You It's something that everyone aspires to be on, but you just simply cannot do it. You have no choice whatsoever. So that's about it for this edition of the Moaning Show. I thank those that are still watching me after all this time and on a weekly basis. I realise it's potentially a pain in the backside to watch me moan, bitch and complain about everything, but can we get some more views, please? I know the subject matter might not interest you, but I'm producing these videos for no budget. I'm giving up my personal time, and if I get less than 30 views, my motivation just goes, and I don't feel like doing these videos. It's why this one's a little bit later, quite frankly. For 12 views, it's not worth the effort. And if I'm going to continue doing this moaning show, I want some more bloody views. Thank you very much. So that's my small moan to you, the viewers. Watch my bloody videos. Share them with your friends and family. It's like, if you find me entertaining, share me. Share my content. I've got over 60 videos for you to watch now. So just share the stuff, will you? Anyway, that's it. Enough of my moaning this week. I'll see you next week for more. Bye-bye.